Please turn your mind inward and cultivate a pure motivation of love and compassion and bodhicitta. So all of you have received a lot of Dharma teachings. You have you've come to many teachings given by many different lamas. And so you've all engaged well in the processes of listening and contemplation, or study and contemplation. So whether you have whether it is the generation stage yogas, the completion stage yogas, Dzogchen or Mahamudra, there have been different lamas of different traditions who have given you many pith instructions. But in order for those pith instructions to really take root, in order for them to really be integrated in our being, then we have to actually engage in the practice. And so whether, that which has really kept us from progressing as deeply as we are capable of is through in our meditation practice is because it is our strong attachment and clinging to this life, to the concerns of this life. It is our clinging to this life thinking that that the appearances of this life are real, that they are true, and that they are permanent. And so with this attitude of procrastination and strong attachment, then fixating to true existence, we put all our efforts towards our worldly engagements. So the best method for lessening this mind of fixating to true existence and fixating to permanence is contemplating impermanence. So Rinpoche thought that it would be good to take these 30 minutes to discuss impermanence. So first, contemplating impermanence, there is the impermanence of the outer container, which is this universe, and particularly within our immediate world system, there are the the realms of the different directions, or the 4 great continents. So there is the eastern continent, which is comprised of crystal, like where the ground is crystal. There's the western continent, which in which the ground, the earth, is ruby. There's the northern continent, which is made of the jewel of Indra, and our southern continent, which is said to be likened to lapis lazuli because of the blue of the ocean and sky. And so all of these beautiful places that make up this 3 billion-fold universe are comprised of particles. So they are nothing more than these conglomerations of particles. All appearance is just a conglomeration of particles. And when you break any appearance, like outer phenomena, down, then we see that it is just the same partless particles, which are in essence the nature of emptiness. And so everything that is comprised of these particles is subject to transformation and change. It is subject to impermanence. So in that case, whatever we enjoy and experience as pleasurable is bound by the composite realm, the realm of compounded phenomena. And so since it is bound by the realm of since it is bound by being composite, then it is it's deceptive in nature, because it is impermanence. It's constantly going through a process of transformation and change. And so everything that is impermanent is deceptive in nature.
我那懂得那大家年龄啊，就谈不出来落的吧，对吧？你谈不出落的吧，应该是大地没大吧，对嘛的，光年同大没大吧的，有人情世同大的，谈不出来做落的吧，就大家的落的吧会有的。大家的没大吧的，嘛有的这吧应该是那个，在他什么地方他平把的这有空谈不出来。蛮多特地去的热特，去中国那不是特别的把人家的把会有的，你这个钱的，我的光的把那南京车吧的把钱的把他去的人那个南昆话，你的南京车吧的钱，你那个东大题目，他那个他说你个对吧？他说对吧
？So it is deceptive because in becoming attached to it, thinking that there is some eternal happiness that can be found regarding the experiences of this life or the concerns of this life. They are. It is deceptive because there's no true happiness that can be found by chasing after these concerns. And so, when we realize that that the concerns of this life are really without any real essence, meaning that they can't really cause us to find happiness, then we know that there is really no benefit in being attached to this life, because it is deceptive by nature. And so it's beneficial instead if we give rise to a sense of renunciation and contentment. Because if we don't develop renunciation and contentment, then we will be bound by our delusions, and so therefore we won't be able to accomplish that which is truly meaningful. So, in order to instead accomplish that which is meaningful, and in order not to be overcome or bound by our delusions, the mind of delusion, then we have to change our attitude. And the way in which we can change our attitude is by encouraging ourselves to turn away from worldly concerns and turn towards the sublime Dharma. And so a very effective method for doing this is meditating on impermanence, contemplating and meditating upon impermanence. And then if we can change our attitude like that and put our mind towards that which is spiritually meaningful, then we will create happiness for ourselves in this life. We will create happiness for ourselves in future lives, and we will plant the seeds for the ultimate happiness of liberation and enlightenment. And so this, the sublime Dharma is really the source of all benefit and happiness. And so if we really take to heart the truth of impermanence and suffering, then we can really destroy our delusion. And if we destroy our delusion, then we have created the causes for temporary happiness and ultimate happiness.
아니 누가 다다 시가 말이 사나 시가 말이 사나를 나는 시가 말이 아니 다파 나 시가 말이 다다 나를 시가 말이 산도 그거와 이때 안진이 되고와 네 뭐 참아 메셔 누구 누구 말이 참아 시고 이냥 나 다다 메셔 사나 메셔 안에 나 나를 메셔 안 되는 거지 나 다시는 도 안에 스나 러고 있고 말 이때 안진이 거서 되고와 이때 안진이 거서 다 맞다 봐도 좋게 뭐는 이때 안진이 거서 저 쉐이터인데 이니까 아니 난 체르체 체르들었잖아. 강의 양 다체의 긴체 그래서 안 되게 나 처음에 말로 강 그냥 핀토고 말이야. 내 핀토에 받기 나게 다디 제왕자는 스마니가 핀바. 예, 담배 주의. 나 담말 받은 담말 대가서 공다 그냥 미 받아. 수다를 위는 받으러 너는 강의가 내 뭐가 Nakadu in the teaching, Nakatim and Dejo, and the Doctor, to do Narrative. It and Ari, it take up, in the Nadi, Sunamsa, but another shouldn't take the part, not to go who gave the butter, the bar would take the Yavamas Unamsa, the river. These Unamsa, the Ginde, the example of some Tito, example, the Toya, some Tito, the Tito, the party general, chapter general, into the water, I told you. And I
So this fixation to permanence, or that which kind of takes us away from really accomplishing virtue, is a lack of really understanding the truth of impermanence. So we may say, well, I understand impermanence, and I know that everything is impermanent, so I don't think that I really have this fixation to permanence. But if you really look at your experience, you will see that that we all actually do have this fixation to permanence. And so this is the evidence of this is our being really preoccupied with the concerns of this life, like only thinking about this life rather than actually getting to the practice which accomplishes that which is truly meaningful. And this clinging to permanence manifests as sort of being in denial about death. So if we think about our own attitude towards death, well, we know that everybody will die, that everybody is subject to impermanence and death. But still, when it comes to our own mortality, we sort of say, well, I know, eventually I'm going to die, but, not right now, not anytime soon, not today, not tomorrow. And so, the truth of the reality is that we don't have any idea. There could be any condition which could bring about the cause of our death. And if we really took this to heart, we wouldn't waste a moment of our time just being distracted, lazy, or unmindful. And so through really contemplating the truth of impermanence, then our fixation to permanence is destroyed. And so we are aware that that death will come, that there's no telling when death will come, and that no matter how long we live, life is actually still very, very short. So this is how this life is deceptive. This is how the concerns of this life are deceptive. Because as much as we put effort in trying to create happiness for ourselves in this life, before we know it, this life will be over, and all of the worldly happiness that we have created will be of no ultimate consequence. So it doesn't do any good. There's no benefit in just treating this life as ordinary and thinking of the purpose of this life as being, enjoy, that we should just enjoy our time here as a human being, and that our enjoyment will be the sort of or without being chasing after the creating a situation of enjoyment for ourselves, then our life is wasted. If we just think of this life as ordinary, and we are lazy and kind of careless, and sort of relax in our sort of ordinary experience, then we don't do anything to really create the causes of true benefit and happiness. So if we really understand this through, if we really take to heart the truth of impermanence, then we will feel great urgency to accomplish that which is truly meaningful. Because this situation is clearly a product of great merit. we have all taken a human birth. We have a precious human birth, and we have met with the Dharma, and we have met with thoroughly qualified spiritual teachers. So all of these things are due to the ripening of our good fortune, the merit that we have accumulated in former lives. So in this situation, when such great merit is ripening, then we should, it is to our greatest advantage to also create conditions which cause that good fortune and merit to further increase. So rather than just sort of experiencing their ripening and then through their ripening, they could potentially just be exhausted and our merit could be used up. So rather than that, allowing that to occur, instead, it's wise if we can use these extremely favorable situations in which great merit is ripening to create even more merit. So that means that with these favorable conditions, the more that we can generate the positive qualities of faith, devotion, love and compassion, renunciation, the more that we nurture these qualities within ourselves, then we will accumulate greater and greater merit. So we should use these favorable conditions in order to create more favorable conditions.
Ini yungdi je ta no si yungdi ka je ka sin na chu da ning dong je no de ba mu ya che no sa ni ji che no ting de chu di yungdi de chu bu je ko ba de mu je ni de yungdi chon da ko ni ba 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 ta no de ni dang jing ge o de zhuo tu de ba dang jing ge o de zhuo tu ta ran ni cha dang ji ya chu ju de cha dang de je ko mo cha dang ji mo de cha dang ji ya ko de ba你的恰当性就别完中头有的，别完中头呢，你这个现在那些的恰的，那个这玩意把些，你现在起码恰一这把的啊，我们就你就给他的马这玩意的，这的别完了这不是有的吧？就拿手是有的吧？这个接受那错，那个是错你我的说的，就给他错你说，你这个他平庸给他错的，就错你说给完了。特别是那有的他的感受他的就多的吧，用的吧，那个东西。感受的那别玩干，感受他是有的，这个的我就是有的些。你就的当然，结完的你也就别玩一把，你的去也过得多，他把那个会吧，这多的前面的反多的结完什么的结完了多，他们都做的那会对吧？这些人结完了我差不多的，就当然就要后面就签的了，然后他们就写给你，对嘛的结完什么的工作都的，对嘛的他结完什么的拖他的工厂没有人怕的，拖的罗他都他的工厂罗他都。去听本来有对吧？给他们有的成有就发的，那个么大发的有的结论，这边也是光有这些有对吧
？So we can contemplate the different ways in which impermanence is constantly manifesting. There's the impermanence of outer phenomena, the outer container, which is this universe, the impermanence of the inner contents, the sentient beings therein. There is the flux and transition that manifests as impermanence that is pervades all aspects of compounded phenomena. Everything that gathers together eventually disperses. Everything that is accumulated is eventually lost or exhausted. Everything that is everyone that comes together eventually separates. And everything that is built up eventually crumbles down. So if you think about how all of the various ways in which impermanence manifests, then there's great benefit that can come from that, because you really get to feeling like you really understand it at a visceral level, like you really see it, experience it, and really take it to heart. And so if everything is pervaded by impermanence, then it also becomes easy to see how samsara is pervaded by the nature of suffering. And so if we can abandon suffering by abandoning the causes of suffering, then this is what becomes the cause of liberation, of attaining liberation from samsara. And so the more that we develop the qualities, the enlightened qualities that stem from virtuous mind states, such as renunciation, love and compassion, faith and devotion, then if we encourage virtue, if we encourage ourselves internally by striving to develop a constant mind state of virtue and act with our body and speech in virtue, then we can definitely abandon the faults of samsara. So the way in which we essentially need to overcome this, the pain of samsara, is by liberating the mind of self-clinging, or attaining liberation from the mind of self-clinging. So when we subdue attachment and aversion, which is a product of self-clinging, then self-clinging will also deteriorate. And so the antidote to self-clinging is love and compassion. The antidote to attachment and aversion is virtue. So if we turn our mind towards virtue, then we are no longer acting out of attachment and aversion. And so this becomes the means to accumulate merit. So even though we may not be able to abide in a constant state of meditative equipoise in which we realize the truth of emptiness, the method for developing the ability to do that is to use the concepts that we have while we are still bound by the conceptual mind. If we use the conceptual mind to develop virtue, then the conceptual delusion that we have actually becomes virtuous. And so then we are accumulating merit. We are accumulating the referential accumulation of merit. So there are the two types of accumulation: the non-referential accumulation of wisdom, which is accumulated in meditative equipoise. And then there is the referential accumulation of merit, which is engaging in virtue, essentially turning the mind towards virtue. And so the more that we purify our mind and the more virtuous we become, we will be assisted by those beings who also have virtuous mind streams. So the good deities, the wholesome white deities, worldly deities, will also they will work to protect us and sort of surround us and help us. And so if the more that we generate then this mind state of virtue, then we will have happiness in this life, we will have happiness at the time of death, we will have happiness in the bardo, and we will have happiness in our next life. So we will go from happiness to greater happiness. So in order for this to occur, then we need to really take the teachings on impermanence and the suffering of samsara to heart, so that it really it becomes the incentive for developing virtue. Because again, as we have this extremely favorable opportunity now, in order for this opportunity not to be wasted, but to continue to build on the favorable circumstances by creating more virtue, then this will be to our advantage. So really, all sources of worldly happiness are truly deceptive in nature, and they are bound by the truth of impermanence. And so we cannot hang on to them. They don't have any real lasting nature. Whether it is wealth and possessions, or high status and many good friends and companions, all of these things can't bring about true happiness, because they're not of a lasting nature. So just this experience that we have in this life is just like a dream. It's not. It's totally insubstantial and illusory, like a dream. So just like you might have an elaborate dream at night, and then when you wake up from that dream, then everything that you experienced in your dream just dissolves. There's no reality to it. And so in the same way, all of the activities and concerns of this life are just like a dream. So there is no real essence there. So when we meditate on the truth of impermanence, then this will really benefit by motivating us to spend our time practicing Dharma. And if we spend our time practicing Dharma, then we are like preparing ourselves for death. So when the time of death comes, we won't have any regret. So by turning our mind towards Dharma and practicing virtue, then we are protecting ourselves. We are like our greatest protectors. And so since we are still bound because we are sentient beings who have self-clinging. And so therefore we have attachment and aversion, and so therefore we are subject to the experiences of pleasure and pain, or happiness and suffering. And so whatever causes we create, then the fruition will be experienced either in the form of happiness or suffering. And so our very body, the aggregates, the physical aggregates that we experience right now in this life as a human incarnation, this itself, our very body, is a fruition of the ripening of favorable karma. So this is a positive ripening. This human body is the result of karmic fortune. And so if we use this favorable support of this human body, which is the product of having engaged in virtue in the past, if we use it to create more virtue, then we don't, it's needless to say, then the fruition will be positive. So the very kind of pillar of the Buddha's teachings are the teachings on dependent origination, or karmic interdependence. So karma, cause and effect. And so that the essence of that teaching is that wherever there is a cause, then there is a fruition that accords with that cause. And so whatever our experience, our experience is nothing other than something that we have created ourselves. And so we are responsible for our own experiences of happiness and suffering. So whatever, whether or not we create the causes of happiness or suffering now, depends on us.
I think 저기 주님이 매출이나 그것을 열탕이 아디 주를 자기 상대방에 다 감정이 생대반을 좀 기회와 이 달리에 저 상대방이나 얘기라서 다 장도 같이 로또는 다 장도 원아야 다 장도 같이 뭘 그냥 이게 돼 상황을 쓰이고 된 잘성 이제 뭐 그거나 맞지 잘성 이제 뭐 그거나 맞지 진주로 다 답니다 다 진주로
하고 선생님
그래서 다 달리에 저도 상마서는 주 여다와 인양 저 얘기가 자기 되고 말이야 내가 상대 원아야 그 이게 뭐 상황 볼수 있대 봐 잘성 이제 뭐 그거나 맞지 잘성 잘성 뭐도 올라가고 이거 잘도 내고 나타내고 이거 리체 오에 먹거나 맞지 리체도 오는 사마지 와는 이거 예 그다음에 맞지 뒤진주로 다음에 다다고 텔레 전티티 달게 요리 되면 상황이 고소로 이거 하여튼 나는 그냥 잡고 이거 이따 샘대반은 소인도 다음에 대반도 있고 대반 이치 대반 기회와 하면 소들아 대반 이렇게 대반의 통통 된데 오버 대반 인기 겨를 내 사오지 대반 띵고 차터고 말이야 대반 띵고 차터고는 나다리 이 용기야 보다 네 윤친시도가 주기도 봐야 보시도 봐시라야 뭐 그나니 살도 대반 이거마도 이 윤친야 보시마서 봐도 대반 띵고 건도가 이때 뭐가 대발 자기 대발 인가 대발 인기 열하고 이래요. 한테 나이 나가 다 다리 나주다 다리 용띠 요 대발 다 냠미지를 대하고 그것도 대발 다 소속으로 그러고 그러봐. 나무가 대발 좀 정말로 미네야 대다 냠미지 양식 대발 약진 것도 보고 봐. 항상 다리 또 상대보다 대 아마 상황이 이거 form아서 오라는 소 que corsi nella merda del ginkro che voleva dare di gran con a cosmo da da quello che casi ma che sono da dani da buona in so stanze che da di da come da to da vi come da più da mi da come cosa che voleva
So the circumstances that are necessary in order to engage in authentic Dharma practice is first, as we know, having a precious human birth, complete with the 8 leisures and the 10 endowments. And so within those, one of the necessary conditions is that we have faith. And so there are the 3 types of faith. We need to have the 3 types of faith. And then even if we have a human birth with the leisures and endowments, there are incidental circumstances which can lead to like losing those leisures and endowments. So those are the 8 temporary or the 8 sort of incidental or temporary changes in circumstance, and the 8 sort of the 8 attitudes, or the 8 like a change, the 8 ways in which our attitude may change. And so if we encounter any of those conditions which could bring about like a change, then we no longer have the leisures and endowments complete. And so we have to be very careful not to allow this to happen. And so the best method to avoid like falling under the influences of inopportune states is by always like nurturing the 3 types of faith. So there is the clear faith, longing faith, and confident faith. And so, but until we have confident faith, then our faith is not stable by any means. It can change easily. We can lose our faith if we don't make an effort to nurture it. And so when once we have really developed great understanding and wisdom because of really putting the Dharma into practice and studying the Dharma, then we become really confident about the reasons or the logic and so forth. And so then, or the logic behind the Dharma and the meaning, the true meaning of the Dharma. And so then when that becomes very deep, then our wisdom develops, and then eventually that faith becomes irreversible faith. But until we have that irreversible faith, which is really stable and unchanging, then we have to make a constant effort to increase and nurture our faith. And so, So when we, in our practice, throughout our path of practice, there are times when there's a lot of faith that is just sort of spontaneously it's spontaneously arising, and due to that, then we go through phases where we develop a great deal of qualities. But until that faith becomes irreversible, then our qualities can also decline or deteriorate. So first, we have to be careful not to encounter conditions or circumstances which could cause us to lose those qualities, that could cause those qualities to deteriorate. And so,
대바요 대바도 코다요 대도 코이 야보이도 그대와도 나서는 가요 대데 그걸로 대바 그거와 티 그걸로 가요 대바 야라고 대바 나 소나 토도 그거리 티 그걸로 대바 코 가요 대바 되게 나 요소용 딘다 하고 소나 나 그티 고랑디 용기 같은 거 야미세 거를 반야미세 잡아나 나가 된다 그렇다 그거와 이거 요소용 딘다 봐 추링하는데 그렇다 말할 때 대바이 바디 생기우리 때 그런 빈도용 그리고 가시 투 대바 따니 바리나 아니 예마 대 용딘 오다 대 용딘 나서니 코 용딘 토마토 칼다로 코 간에 강기선이 더 빠르게 나다 대바네 그랬더니 기 노샘도 선나는 가르미 대바에 엉도 그거와 이라고 해서 토하이 그런 거 요리 나가 토하이 그러더니 그 기니 용딘 토마토 봐 랑게 잉이 요딘 토마토 잉이 틱 요아르는 거 가와게 그 말이야 이때 수낭도 나게 되는 거 요리와 아직 나선 여기 요 토하는 거 요리와 이때 이게 다 대바리 배우는 거 봐. 대바리 그만 주권 요 같은 거 말이야 따와니 주권 요 따와니 그거 그 주기 샘들 같은 거 말이야 꼭 같이 주되오나 그 이게 그냥 요가 피도 또 요가 대피부터 배우는 요가 대바리 요가 주디 먹고 말이야 사원 대바리 그러면 나 카푸치노 요거도 그러나 사원 매트가 요거 뭐 제기는 거 소개와 이 대바 미니머들이 카푸 배우 주디 다 주디 용도로 배야나 이 사원 매트부터나 그랬더니 양거 요거 자원 제트고 말이야 소개와 대다들이 소개와
So when, like one of the signs of having, like a mind, that has, developed some transcendent qualities or spiritual qualities, is that when we have, like due to a mind of faith, like having developed or having a subdued mind with qualities of love and compassion and faith, when we see others who have qualities, when we see others who have faith, we rejoice in that. We think it gives us joy and delight, and we think and we have respect. And then through that joy and respect, then we continue to accumulate merit, or we accumulate merit as a result of our joy and respect. If we haven't developed qualities, and we see others who have faith and who have qualities, then there may be an attitude of skepticism. There's an attitude of skepticism or even revulsion, or sort of judgment, or annoyance. So that, you would see somebody who has great faith and then think, well, who knows, who knows what's really, what, and sort of there's only a mind of criticism there. And so, if then there is no joy and no delight, if there's just a critical attitude of judgment, then there's no benefit in that for us. We won't, that doesn't help us to develop qualities at all. It does just the opposite. Because the more that we, or the less we develop inner qualities within ourselves, then the less capable we are of seeing the qualities in others. And so if we don't develop our own inner qualities and then constantly judge others or only see the faults in others, then that becomes the cause of the deterioration of our own mind stream. Like our mind just is wasted or spoiled. And so those who really have no faith and are not capable of developing the qualities of faith, there is no way for them to even enter into the door of Dharma practice. To even be able to enter into Dharma practice, there is the necessity of the having developed the quality of faith. And if there is no faith and no capability of giving rise to faith, then there is no possibility for benefit. There is no way to benefit that person. It is like a seed that has been burned. If you have a fresh seed and that seed has been burned, then there's no hope that it will blossom into a plant. Like it won't become a sprout and grow into a plant because it has been burned. So instead, a seed which is filled with faith is a seed that is a fresh seed that is fully capable of, when meeting with the proper conditions, of sprouting and then blossoming into a fully developed plant. So we'll stop there since it was supposed to be 30 minutes and they said it's been an hour. So.